origins, Canaanites, and the spring of life. Long before kings, prophets, and holy wars, there was water, stone, and survival. Jerusalem's story begins not with monuments, temples, or political ambition, but with a simple spring, the Gin Spring, a natural source that provided life in a rugged, hilly landscape. For the first inhabitants, this spring was far more than water. It was a gift from the gods, a lifeline, and a place of ritual. Its waters sustained crops, livestock, and families for thousands of years, establishing Jerusalem as a site of continuous human settlement. The first settlers. Archaeological evidence suggests that by 3000 BC, small communities of Canaanites were already living in and around Jerusalem. These early settlers built modest homes from mud bricks, clustered along the hillsides to take advantage of natural defenses. They dug channels to bring water from the Gin Spring into their homes and fields, one of the earliest known water management systems in the region. The Canaanites were not simply survivors. They were innovators and traders, linking the Levant with Egypt, Mesopotamia, and the Mediterranean coast. Trade brought more than goods, it carried ideas, art, and religion. Clay figurines, altars, and ritual objects suggest that these early inhabitants were deeply religious, worshipping multiple gods and performing ceremonies tied to agriculture and celestial cycles. Every structure, every artifact, tells a story of people striving to control their environment, to honor the divine, and to build a community. Even in these earliest days, Jerusalem's location, perched on hills with commanding views of the valleys, gave it strategic importance. It was not a sprawling city, but it was defensible, a sanctuary amid the unpredictable politics of the ancient Near East. The spiritual landscape. The Canaanites believed the land was alive, that the hills, rivers, and springs were infused with divine power. Shrines were constructed near natural features, the Gin Spring, rocky outcrops, and sacred groves, where priests and priestesses performed rituals to ensure fertility, rain, and protection. Archaeologists have uncovered small altars and carved figurines, suggesting that religion permeated daily life. Even in these early settlements, Jerusalem was already becoming a place of imagination and reverence, a city where the human and the divine intersected. The rituals performed at the spring were not just ceremonial, they were acts of survival, attempts to impose order on an unpredictable world. Water, after all, could mean life or death in this dry, hilly region. Neighbors and conflict. The Canaanites did not exist in isolation. To the south and east were nomadic tribes. To the west, fertile valleys connected to the Mediterranean. To the north, other city-states jostled for resources and influence. Early Jerusalem was a small player in a larger regional network, trading grain, olive oil, and pottery while defending itself against raids and incursions. Conflict was inevitable. Archaeological evidence suggests that walls and fortifications were built, destroyed, and rebuilt over centuries. Even as the city prospered, it remained vulnerable to external forces, a theme that would recur throughout its history. Daily life in ancient Jerusalem. Imagine walking through a Canaanite settlement. Mud brick houses line narrow alleys. Smoke rises from hearths where families cook simple meals of grain, lentils, and vegetables. Children play near the spring, watching goats drink and water flow over carved channels. Traders arrive from neighboring cities, carrying pottery, textiles, and spices. At the center of it all is the Gin Spring, a constant presence, sustaining life, commerce, and ritual. Daily life was intertwined with survival and religion. Farmers prayed for rain, mothers offered small gifts to local deities, and elders mediated disputes. Storytelling was crucial. Oral histories preserved knowledge of the land, water, and neighboring peoples. Even at this early stage, Jerusalem was a city defined by community, faith, and adaptation. Jerusalem as a symbol. Even before the Israelites arrived, Jerusalem was more than a settlement. Its natural features, the hills, valleys, and spring, made it a symbolic site. The city represented security, sustenance, and the connection between humans and the divine. These early symbolic associations would persist through the ages, shaping the city's identity and making it a target for empires, kings, and prophets. The Canaanites laid the foundational layer. Physically, spiritually, and culturally, upon which future civilizations would build. The city's religious and strategic significance was seated in these first settlements. The arrival of the Israelites. By around 1000 BC, the Israelite tribes began to establish control in the region. Jerusalem, still small but strategically placed, was identified as a central location for uniting the tribes. According to biblical accounts, it was King David who made Jerusalem the political and spiritual heart of Israel, consolidating power and fortifying the city. But before that consolidation, the city had already endured centuries of adaptation, trade, conflict, and worship. The Canaanites' influence persisted in urban planning, water management, and religious traditions, even as new cultures layered themselves over the old. Jerusalem was no longer just a settlement. It was becoming a city with destiny, a place where history and myth would converge. Archaeological insights. Modern excavations reveal a city that was far more complex than imagined. Fortified walls from the Canaanite period, grain storage facilities, pottery workshops, and ritual altars indicate a sophisticated urban settlement. The water tunnels carved to bring the Gin spring into the city, such as Warren's Shaft and Hezekiah's tunnel built later, reflect a deep understanding of engineering and survival. Artifacts hint at trade with Egypt and Mesopotamia, showing Jerusalem was not isolated. Early inhabitants engaged in a wider world of commerce and diplomacy, foreshadowing the city's future as a crossroads of civilizations. A city of eternal significance. Even at this early stage, Jerusalem's story was clear. It was a city built for survival, faith, and strategic advantage. Its residents learned to adapt, to fortify, to pray, and to trade. These patterns, resilience, spiritual devotion, and political ambition, would define Jerusalem for millennia to come. The Gihon Spring continues to flow today, a living connection between the ancient Canaanites and modern Jerusalemites. Standing by its waters, it is possible to imagine the voices of the past, children laughing, traders bargaining, priests chanting, warriors watching from the walls. These sounds may be gone, but the echoes of history remain embedded in the stones, streets, and springs, setting the stage for the future. As we leave the Canaanites behind, we see a city that is modest yet poised for greatness. The Israelites' arrival, the rise of King David and Solomon, and the construction of the first temple will transform Jerusalem from a hilltop settlement into a holy capital. But even then, the layers of history, religion, and conflict planted by the earliest inhabitants will continue to shape its destiny. The story of Jerusalem begins here, with water, stone, and human ambition, in a city that would endure empires, destruction, miracles, and faith. Every stone and street in modern Jerusalem still carries the memory of the Canaanites, reminding us that this city was always destined to be extraordinary.